There we go. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, October 5th regular meeting of the Novi Board of Education. If you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are so glad to see so many of you here tonight. The first item on our agenda is a board resolution. It is actually National Principals Month, and in order to recognize our principals this month and express our support for them, I'm going to read a resolution. Whereas the National Association of Secondary School Principals, the National Association of Elementary School Principals, and the American Federation of School Administrators have declared the month of October 2017 as National Principals Month. Whereas principals and assistant principals are expected to be educational visionaries, instructional leaders, assessment experts, disciplinarians, community builders, public relations experts, budget analysts, facility managers, special programs administrators, and guardians of various legal, contractual, and policy mandates and initiatives, as well as being entrusted with young people, the most valuable resource. Whereas principals set the academic tone for their schools and work collaboratively with teacher and teacher leaders to develop and maintain high curriculum standards, develop mission statements, and set performance goals and objectives. Whereas the vision, dedication, and determination of a principal provides the mobilizing force behind any school reform effort. Whereas leadership is second only to classroom instruction among all school-related factors that contribute to what students learn at school, according to research conducted by the Wallace Foundation. Whereas the NAESP National Distinguished Principals Program honors exemplary elementary and middle school level private, public, and independent school leaders, as well as leaders from the United States Department of Defense schools and the United States Department of Overseas schools for outstanding leadership for student learning and the profession. Whereas the NASSP National Principal of the Year program began in 1993 as a means to recognize outstanding middle level and high school principals who have succeeded in providing high quality learning opportunities for students, as well as their exemplary contributions to the profession. Whereas the American Federation of School Administrators promotes professional and occupational interests of school principals, administrators, and supervisors across the nation. Whereas the celebration of National Principals Month would honor elementary, middle level, and high school principals and recognize the importance of school leadership in ensuring that every child has access to high-quality education. And whereas the month of October 17th would be an appropriate month to designate as National Principals Month, now therefore be it that the House of Representatives, 1, honors and recognizes the contribution of school principals and assistant principals to the success of students in the nation's elementary, middle, and high schools, and 2, encourages the people of the United States to observe National Principals Month with appropriate ceremonies and activities that promote awareness of school leadership in ensuring that every child has access to a high-quality education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Novi Community School District Board of Education recognizes the month of October 2017 as National Principals Month and honors the contribution of Novi School District principals and assistant principals. David Asher of Novi Woods Elementary, Julie Bedford of Deerfield Elementary, John Brickey of Novi Wood Meadows Elementary, Alex O'Feely of Village Oaks Elementary, Nicole Carter of Novi High School, Lisa Fenchel at Novi Meadows Elementary, Jennifer Mikos at Parkview Elementary, Pamela Quiddiquit at Orchard Hills Elementary, Stephanie Schreiner at Novi Middle School, Robert Baker at Novi High School, Charles LeClaire at Novi High School, Katie Dinkelman at Novi High School, and Andrew Combe at Novi High School. The undersigned duly qualified and accurate. Oh, do I need to?
No, yeah.
I apologize. That is it. So we would entertain a motion to accept this resolution. Mr. Mena.
Yeah, I move that we accept this resolution as read.
Support.
It's been moved by Mr. Mena and supported by Mr. Cook. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Resolution is adopted. We thank our school principals tremendously. The list of things that they have to do every day and throughout the year is obviously extensive, and we do appreciate all their efforts. Next, we have comments from the audience related to agenda items. This would be an opportunity for any of you to come to the podium, fill out a green card, and address the board on any item that is currently on our agenda. of awkward silence, we will move on to reports to the board. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Tonight we are honored to have our National Merit semifinalists with us this evening. Novi High School Principal Nicole Carter will present seniors from the class of 2018 that have been named National Merit Scholarship Program semifinalists. The National Merit Scholarship Corporation released the names of 39 Novi High School seniors who were named National Merit semifinalists, making Novi the top school in the state and represents 7% of all the in-state semifinalists. Mrs. Carter will present the students who are in attendance for recognition and provide additional information on each of these students. We take this time to applaud these students for their tenacious work ethic and outstanding academic achievement and present them to the Novi Board of Education this evening for recognition as the exemplification of the very best of Novi High School. Ms. Carter.
Good evening, Dr. Matthews and Board of Education members. It's another great day to be a Novi Wildcat. My name is Nicole Carter, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the principal of Novi High School. Today's recognition is one that I look forward to annually. I have the delight of introducing to you our National Merit semifinalists. The National Merit Scholarship Program entails approximately 1.6 million students and more than 22,000 high schools enter into this program by taking the PSAT in October of their junior year. Only 16,000 of these students qualify as semifinalists. We at Novi High School have 39 students. Let me repeat, 39 students who have qualified as semifinalists. This is the largest number of any high school in the entire state of Michigan, and I'm very proud to say it is the largest number of semifinalists in the history of Novi High School. These students represent less than 1% of U.S. high school seniors. Now I'd like to share with you some statistics related to these students because some say, oh, they just performed really well on an exam on one day in October. I would beg to differ. These students are the brightest and best that Novi High School has to offer. Combined, these 39 students have taken 237 advanced placement courses. They have taken 61 international baccalaureate courses. They have taken 17 dual enrollment courses. 17 of our tenacious 39 started as kindergartners within the Novi Community School District. They actually participate in 28 clubs, they participate on 7 athletic teams, and 18 of our tenacious 39 volunteer at local organizations. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for, to be able to put a name with the face in regards to our 39 National Merit semifinalists. So at this time, when I call your name, if you'd be so kind as to come up to the podium. Arun Anamali. Mahir Badange. Sabarna Bhattacharya. Lindsay Boyven. Dia Chaturvedi. Robert Chen. Aditya Shida. Shaylee Bazdar. Mahat Galati. Zijian Huang. Jyotsna Joshi. Selena Liang. Audrey Lang. Joseph Masick. Yasir Mahmood. Gabe Udell. Arjun Raman. Aditya Ravi. Amber Renton. Kieran Rushton. Maitali Sate. Junwan Chen. Prashant Singh. Sandhya Singh. Sarab Noor Singh. David Song. Priyanka Subramanian. Ronit Chouari. Ashwin Banjipuram. Nikit Villaru. Joyful Wang. Maxwell Wang. James Wu. Catherine Shaw. Robert Shu. Venkata Yadati. Alice Ying. Alexander Yuan. And Stephen Sam. At this time, would the parents, guardians, and family members of our semifinalists please stand and be recognized? Thank you. We commend you for your high level of engagement and your unwavering support. On behalf of the entire staff and student body at Novi High School, I thank you for entrusting us with your children. Congratulations once again, National Merit Semifinalists. And as always, let's go Wildcats.
Anybody on the board have comments for this esteemed group of 39? Well, I would just like to say on behalf of the board, it is an honor to serve you up in this position. I think that I can speak for my fellow board members here in saying that we are about student achievement. You guys are showing us that we're doing something right. You're going to keep us coming back to these seats every Thursday night and beyond, doing the hard work that we need to do in order to continue to support you and support the people in our district that are making things happen for you. So we really thank you all for being here. This is a great night for us to be able to recognize the achievement of so many of our great, best and brightest students. And we do thank you, parents, for supporting them, being here, and supporting the district as well. We have tremendous support from our parents, and we really do appreciate that. So thank you all very, very much for being here. We are going to go through a few more items, or do you think?
I think now's a good time for
Okay, well, in that case, we will take a brief break because we know some of you probably have some homework tonight. Maybe not parents, but you kids. So we will take a brief break. We will resume here at 7:30. That gives us 12 minutes. So that's plenty of time to take some pictures outside if you want before you head out and leave. Thank you again for being here. There we are. We are back at the October 5th meeting of the Board of Education. We've cleared the audience now. So our National Merit semifinalists were here this evening, and we are moving on to our consent items. I would entertain a motion.
Can we have somebody read off what's on here first?
Oh, certainly. We have approval of the minutes, the regular meeting from September 14th, our work session of September 28th, the approval of the bills, and the approval of the Washington DC field trip for 2018.
There will need to be one adjustment to the minutes of September 28th. It says Saturday instead of Thursday, so we'll make that adjustment.
All right. Entertain a motion. Mr. Cook?
I move that the Novi Community School Board of Education accept consent items A, B, and C.
All right. Support. Been moved by Mr. Cook and supported by Mrs. Hood. All those in favor of accepting those with a slight change to the work session minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carries 6-0. Next, we are moving on to our action items. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. I will turn to Ms. Diglio for our first personnel report. Ms.
Thank you,
Diglio.
Dr. Matthews. I have two recommendations this evening. Kathleen Depp, she has been working in transportation as an assistant, and we are now moving her to a permanent position in the union. And Leona Frost. Leona has been a paraprofessional in the district and has resigned from that position, and her most current position has been at Novi Meadows.
All right. I would entertain a motion. Mrs. Hood?
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education adopts the personnel report recommendations as presented. Support.
Moved by Mrs. Hood and supported by Mrs. Stevenson. Is there any discussion on the personnel report? Quick question, will we be replacing the parapro?
Yes, that's been posted, and that's correct, it will be replaced.
All right. I have a motion. I would call the question. All those in favor of supporting the personnel recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have a recommendation for Human Resources. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Upon the announcement by Carol Diglio of her intent to retire, we have worked to find the best candidate to step into that position. The position was posted on July 25th and closed on August 25th, and over 40 applied for the position. A review of the applicants was done daily. 6 applicants rose to the top. These 6 applicants were selected based on their match with the job posting, their experience, and their work history. All 6 applicants were given a senior educational leadership interview through HumanX. After all were interviewed, HumanX reviewed the results with the Novi cabinet. Based on the feedback from HumanX and the insight they had on each candidate, 3 were selected for an in-person interview in front of a panel. The panel consisted of Cindy Valentine, Director of Transportation, Mike Dragoo, Director of Maintenance, Jennifer Mikos, Elementary Principal, Nicole Carter, High School Principal, Darby Hoppenstedt, MTSS 504 Director, Kathy Donovan, Executive Assistant to the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Sandy Brazel, Assistant to the High School Principal and NESPA President, Seth Furlow, High School Teacher and NEA President, Dr. R.J. Weber, Assistant Superintendent of Academics, Jill Minnick, Assistant Superintendent for Business Operations, and myself. Each panelist was chosen because of their connection to human resources. That connection could be hiring, representing an employee group, or representing district interest. Each panelist was also chosen because they have demonstrated an ability to think through and think about difficult problems. Each applicant was asked to make a presentation of 10 minutes introducing themselves and identifying what their first 30 days in the district would look like. Then we asked a series of questions to each applicant. After the interviews, the committee discussed each applicant in depth, citing answers to interview questions and identifying strengths and areas of concern. The unanimous decision of the committee was to recommend Gary Kinzer to the Board of Education to be hired for the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Mr. Kinzer has worked as a high school English teacher, a middle school assistant principal, and an elementary principal. He has worked primarily in the Okemos public school system and has over 17 years of administrative experience. He has served on bargaining teams, been the lead in the administrative association, and served in an interim position in central office. He has strong experiences in hiring and developing staff. He understands Michigan's complex teacher and staff evaluation process. References for Mr. Kinzer spoke of his character, his strong decision-making abilities, his ability to solve problems, and his capacity to build strong working relationships. I believe that Mr. Kinzer will make a strong addition to our central office administrative team. After I shared information with the board on my recommendation, several questions were sent to me, and I'd like to answer those questions publicly so that our community is aware of the questions and my response. Does the candidate satisfy the required skills and experiences for this job? I believe that Mr. Kinzer meets the required skills and experiences. He's been a school administrator since 1999. As a school administrator, he has had significant experience with hiring, staff evaluations, staff discipline, leaves of absence, and so on. He has at least 6 years' experience serving on bargaining teams, both with teachers and administrators. He has served as the association leader for the Okemos Administrative Group. He has been involved with scheduling and staffing. He has earned educational credentials and educational leadership. His combination of education and experience has prepared him to be successful in this position. Are there areas where he will have to learn more? Certainly. But his experience in schools, with experience at the high school, middle school, and elementary school level, allows him to have a good perspective of and a good understanding of school personnel issues. The committee interviewed him and felt confident in his abilities to step into this role and be successful. I would strongly argue that he is qualified for this position. Of the 3 finalists, only 1 seemed to have HR and labor experience. How about the 6 interviewed by HumanX, and how many of the 40 that applied? 1 had a certificate in human resources, but no more experience than Mr. Kinzer. She was the director of student services in another district in Oakland County. Her HR experiences would be similar to Mr. Kinzer's, working with staff, staffing, and so on. Other candidates had similar experiences. 2 candidates who had more experience were part of the 6 that were sent to HumanX for screening. What would have disqualified the other applicants right off the top? Candidates were disqualified for a variety of reasons. Reasons included having no administrative experience, little administrative experience, less than 5 years, no educational experience, not meeting requirements of the posting, not specifically applying for our position, some submitted a generic application that demonstrated a lack of commitment to our posting. And these were the major reasons for eliminating candidates. As in any position, we needed to screen out applicants and identify whom we would consider to be the most qualified. As a superintendent, I felt in a position to know what the job involves and to screen applicants. Our HumanX interview was approximately 90 minutes to 2 hours in length. It would have been impractical to put everyone through this interview, so I screened and then collaborated with Ms. Ziglio in discussing the candidates. How does a candidate make it through the HumanX screening without possessing the required skills and experiences? I would disagree with the premise of this question. The candidates we placed in the HumanX interview all met the requirements of the posting. The HumanX interview then screens for talent and skill. The 3 candidates that we brought for the panel interview were 3 strong candidates identified through the HumanX interview process. Have any of our district employees crossed paths with this candidate, professional or otherwise, in the past? If so, is there anything that gives them the strong impression that this individual can hit the ground running despite their lack of experience? Again, I would disagree with the premise of the question. He has significant school experience that will allow him to hit the ground running. Does he know everything that he needs to know? He does not. But the references, his track record, his education all support that he will be successful in this position and that he will hit the ground running. And none of our district employees or anyone on the interview committee had crossed paths with this candidate before he had applied for the position. Did anyone involved with the hiring process in central administration or other Novi staff have prior knowledge of him personally or professionally? Mr. Kinzer was not known to the hiring committee, central administration, or other Novi staff prior to this process beginning. His application was the first contact. Based on my responses to some of these questions, it was asked, wouldn't many principals qualify for this position? The point is valid. That's why the screening process, we look at factors that set a person apart from others. We looked at the number of years in a position, experience in a school setting that would be similar to Novi's, high achieving, active parental involvement, experience at multiple levels, educational attainment, and so on. There are factors that clearly establish the ones we selected to be interviewed by HumanX apart, and these were the best candidates that apply. Why is more value being placed in educational experience over actual HR and labor experience? Educational personnel is different than being a personnel administrator in a nursing home or in a factory setting. Educational experience is important. HR and labor experience are also important. We selected candidates for the interview from the ones that applied. If there were better candidates, they did not apply for this position. Did we not have any candidates currently holding this position in another district? There were 2 candidates selected that held the position or had held the position in other districts, and they were selected for the HumanX interview. Our screening HumanX interview separated those that applied. Additionally, information that we learned on candidates separated the field. There were other candidates that worked in personnel offices, but for different factors, they were not selected to be interviewed. Their experience was not a match for our position. What we knew of the person or the district did not match what we needed, and their experience was very limited. You say in response that an educational background is important. Can you explain why it is important? Educational background is important for a variety of reasons. In the big picture, education provides perspective. It helps a person learn to frame the discussions that surround educational administration, issues related to student achievement, issues related to teacher evaluation, issues related to leading people. Education also demonstrates that a person is serious about advancing their career. There are many high-quality people who do not pursue graduate degrees, and that eliminates them for consideration for advancement. Educational background also helps a person learn to think critically about issues. The candidates we interviewed all had appropriate educational background that gave me confidence in their ability to think, reason, analyze the issues, and so on. Those were the questions that I received about this recommendation. Those are also the answers that I shared with the board prior to this evening. I have confidence that Gary Kinzer will be a strong addition to our central office administrative staff. We will be able to step in and perform the functions of this position. We'll continue to learn and grow, as we all do, and will serve as a mentor and coach to many of our staff. So it is my recommendation to the board this evening that Mr. Gary Kinzer be approved as the next Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources for the Novi Community School District.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Matthews. I would entertain a motion prior to discussion. Mrs. Stevenson.
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education approve Gary Kisner as the new Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources.
It's been moved by Mrs. Stevenson. Is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Mrs. Hood. Is there discussion on the item? Mr. O'Connor.
Yeah, a couple comments. Well, first, I can't support this hiring recommendation because while the candidate certainly has a wide depth of educational experience, he does not have any human resources experience to merit, assistant superintendent position that's focused on human resources. As many of you know, the board faced a similar situation about 4 years ago, and I didn't support the recommended hire at that time for the exact same reason. I just don't think it's in the best interest of the school district to hire someone for this position without human resource experience. I just think that's a misuse of the taxpayer dollars. Secondly, once again, and Dr. Matthews, you and I have had this discussion, I just don't feel that the board was fully engaged in the hiring process. Certainly the way I think the procedure should be done. I just think there should be more board engagement for such an important position, and I just hope that this procedural problem will be solved in the future. I know we've had a lot of discussion about it.
Other comments, Mr. Cook?
I agree with Mr. O'Connor on engaging the board in discussion when we go to hire key positions in administration. Not necessarily getting the board involved in the interview process, but at least getting the understanding of what the board thinks we need is, to meet the vision. As we know, the board is what is supposed to set the vision of the district. It hasn't happened in other hirings, and I wish it would have. I'm definitely not thrilled about that. You mentioned some of them had HR certification. I didn't notice if Mr. Kinzer has HR certification.
He does not. He has a educational leadership degree.
Educational leadership, no HR certification. When asked what the educational experience and educational background, why it's so important, to me, the answer that you gave is being able to frame discussions around those key issues. But anybody with an advanced degree or any HR person should be able to frame a discussion around the topics that they're key with. So, I really wish we would have gone with somebody with more HR experience, because we're not just evaluating. We're not just the police of the district. We're also going out and recruiting talent. Not recruiting just teachers, but recruiting talent. And that's one thing I think that we're missing here too. for these reasons, right now, I am not going to support this hire.
Other discussion, Mrs. Hood?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about it a little bit. So the panel of individuals from within the school district who interviewed the 3 candidates, all 11 of them are leaders in our district, and I know every one of them. They are serious, trained professionals, and they unanimously agreed that Mr. Kinzer was the right candidate for this job. The board has one employee, and that's Dr. Matthews. And when we don't allow him to make informed decisions on the team that he is building within our district, then the board loses its ability to hold him accountable for the results that we expect. So if we are going to, I'll use the word micromanage, if we are going to micromanage the team that he brings on board and really overrule and undermine the decision or the recommendation of a list of leaders in our district, I don't know where that leaves us. I don't know how we continue to recruit and bring on board effective, forward-looking leaders in our district. So obviously, I will vote to support this, and I hope 3 other people do.
Other discussion? Mr. Mann?
So we have a responsibility of board members of making decisions on hires. And it's something that I believe all board members should take seriously. And yeah, I certainly respect a lot of the comments that my other fellow board members were making. I spent a lot of time peppering Dr. Matthews with questions on this hire because I had some concerns. When I looked at the posting, I would have expected that we would have had potentially had more folks who had this position currently at other districts. That turned out not to be the case. Why? I'm not so sure. I think this is a great district to work for. Maybe somebody can enlighten me someday to let me know why that wasn't the case. I'll be supporting this today with a little bit of reluctance. I do feel comfortable that Mr. Kinzer is the best candidate that was before us of the 40 that 40 plus candidates that did apply. I say a little bit of reluctance because I don't know whether or not his lack of labor relations experience, at least from what I can see with the data that came before me, is going to be a hindrance in his success, and the same thing with his HR experience. So yes, I will be supporting him, but know that I am a little bit concerned, reluctant, and I'm hoping when he comes in, he'll come in hitting the ground running and prove us otherwise.
Comments or questions? I will just state quickly, I do agree with some of the comments that Mrs. Hood made. I really did appreciate the thoroughness of the questions that were asked as well, and the thoroughness of the answers. I appreciate you taking the time to address all those with us. Certainly, to Mrs. Hood's point of the panel of people that interviewed, to come to a unanimous decision with that many people, to me, is significant. It was significant to me when I read it, and certainly, actually, I briefly met Mr. Kinzer when I was in the office the day I think he was interviewing. I was coming in I was leaving as he was coming in, and met him very briefly before his final interview. I'm excited that we have another, what I believe is going to be a quality person coming on board. He does have, in my opinion, very big shoes to fill. I think it will be difficult for him. So I do hope he's the candidate that you say that he is, because I believe that Ms. Diglio has done some really fantastic things in our department since she's been there, and certainly we've seen the shift that we've seen with our teachers and negotiating and some of that, I think is significant, and I would love to see that continue under his leadership as well. And I would attribute that to your hard work in both respecting the profession and also understanding your role as you represented us. So I think he's going to have some big shoes to fill. Obviously, we will be holding you accountable for seeing that the work gets done to the high level that it's been done in the past. So I will be supporting the recommendation, Mr. Pinto. All right. There's no more discussion. I will call the question. All those in favor of accepting the personnel recommendation for the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries 4-2. Those dissenting are Mr. O'Connor and Mr. Cook. All right, then next we come to our opportunity for information discussion.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Winter tax levy. I just wanted to skip right over the tax part. We will go back to our winter tax levy. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. And I will, we talked about this at our last board meeting, and so this is for the tax levy, and all the numbers are there. And if you have additional questions, Ms. Minnick would be able to answer those. But if not, we would ask that you approve the winter tax levy for the Novi Community School District.
Okay, as this is an action item, I will entertain a motion first. Mr. Cook.
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education, in the best interest of the school district, authorize the winter tax December 2017 winter tax levy as listed above.
Support.
It's been moved by Mr. Cook and supported by Mr. Mena. Any discussion on the item?
Just a real quick question, Ms. Minnick. A year or so ago, we were able to reduce the hold harmless a little bit. Are we looking at maybe potentially reducing that a little more in the near future so our tax rate would go down for citizens?
That would depend on the rate of, excuse me, that would depend on the rate of taxable values, whether those go up or down within the next year. We'll know more about that as we get closer to the spring.
I would just like to say that I appreciate the actual wording of the recommendation. It was much shorter this year than I remember it being in the past. So, and much more readable. So I appreciate that. I will call the question. All those in favor of approving the winter tax levy as listed, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have our policy updates and revisions. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. A proposed change to board bylaw number 0170 duties, 0172 legal, to make the word attorney plural so that if the board chooses, the district could have multiple firms or attorneys work for the district, was made at the September 7th, 2017 board meeting for information and discussion. This policy was brought before the board at the September 28th, 2017 meeting for information and discussion, and comes tonight for action. So the first one is the change in singular to plural in the board bylaw. The second is the Office of Civil Rights is asking us to update one of our policies. As you know, the Office of Civil Rights had a web accessibility policy, and they were reviewing districts' web pages to make sure they were accessible. And thanks to Ms. Holly, we were able to clear everything and have our case dismissed or closed, except for one issue, and that was they recommended some policy verbiage that was in our administrative guidelines, and so we've moved that to the policy. And we brought this policy to the board on the September 28th board meeting for information and discussion, and tonight it comes for action. And that was policy number 7540.02, web content services and apps. And so we would recommend that the board approve these two policy changes to board policy number 0172 and to 7540.02 as presented.
Okay. I would entertain a motion. Mrs. Lee.
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education approve the revisions to policy numbers 0172 and 7540.02 as presented.
Support.
It's been moved by Mrs. Hood and supported by Mrs. Stevenson. Is there any additional discussion on these two action items this evening? Both of them are pretty standard. And this, the second one does need approved in order to clear it up by, we had a date on that one.
Needs
That's why we
approved by
discussed
October 13th.
it. Okay. So I will call the question. All those in favor of accepting the revisions, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have the superintendent evaluation. I'll take this one if that's okay. Dr. Matthews, we completed the superintendent evaluation. We met in closed session on August 3rd at Dr. Matthews' request to consider his evaluation. And the board worked to reach consensus on several performance indicators in a state-approved evaluation tool, which was prepared by the MASB based on a lot of research. Additionally, the board ended up voting on 4 areas where consensus was not reached at the September 7th regular meeting of the Board of Education. So I just wanted to say briefly that there were 3 basic portions of the evaluation: the professional practice portion, which covered governance and board relations, community relations, staff relations, business and finance, and instructional leadership. And that accounted for 65% of the total evaluation. And then the other 2 sections were student growth, at 25%, which is a state mandated amount, and is also what we follow with our teacher evaluations. And then progress toward district goals, which was at 10%. So based on the formula that was in the tool, the result of the evaluation was an overall rating of 85%, which was an effective rating. So based on the MASB evaluation tool, Dr. Matthews was rated effective. I would like to entertain a motion. Mrs. Hood?
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education rates the superintendent as effective based on the MASB superintendent evaluation.
Support.
Moved by Mrs. Hood and supported by Mrs. Stevenson. Is there discussion, any additional discussion on the superintendent evaluation? All right, I will call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Oh, excuse me, Mr. O'Connor.
Okay, before we move on to the information discussion, I just wanted to remind you that if you could get clarification during the evaluation process, many board members had a concern with the way the MASB, in theory, forced us into a rating system that included only 10% of the evaluation as part of the superintendent objectives, which we all as a board collectively feel is extremely important. In fact, we're having a separate meeting over that, in 2 weeks. So if we could get clarification as to whether we're stuck on the 10% or we as a local board have the latitude to change that, that would be going into next year. That'd be deeply appreciated.
We will get that information to the board.
Okay. All right. Thank you for reminding us of that. I had made a note about that. I know the other thing that I looked at in that, and we talked briefly about like performance. There's performance goals at the end of each section. We didn't really work to incorporate some of that into, but we potentially could build those into, whether it's the community relations, say, and we have an idea of something that we'd like Dr. Matthews to accomplish, we can build that actually into that portion, which then counts towards an eventual 65%.
Yeah, if that fits, because the way
Right.
we've been doing as a board is we've been aligning our district goals,
Yeah.
which we were busy in trying to align our district goals
To
to
the
his
vision.
objectives versus, the MASB attributes. So
Right.
that's certainly the issue.
Right, okay. So that said, we'll move on to information discussion. This is on our district policy provider, Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. At the June 15th, 2017 regular board meeting, Mr. Kevin Sutton of Lusk Albertson presented their bylaws and policy program to the Novi Community School District Board of Education. At the June 29th, 2017 regular meeting, Mr. Wayne Peters of Neola, our current policy provider, presented their bylaws and policy program to the Novi Community School District Board of Education. Tonight, we're asking the board to have a discussion regarding both companies and trying to identify if we would like to make a change and move our policies from our current provider, which is Neola, to Lusk Albertson, or whether or not we want to remain the same. If the board decides to make a change, we would bring this back to the board at the regular meeting on October 19th for action. You have been provided with At our policy committee, we have a kind of a pros and cons of Lusk Albertson and Neola. There's a comparison policy that has been provided by Lusk Albertson, and then you also have the cost of Lusk Albertson if we move to them. So we would invite the board to have their discussion this evening.
Okay, Mr. O'Connor.
So, Dr. Matthews, you've been involved with these meetings, pros and cons. You've seen both vendors. What's your recommendation?
There's a clear difference between the two. Neola's policies are very long and cumbersome. Lusk Albertson is much more narrow and in some ways cleaner. My recommendation, based on my conversation with other superintendents who have Lusk Albertson, is that they provide a high-quality service, and so I would recommend Lusk Albertson as the policy provider.
Well, clearly they're more streamlined. Would Lusk Albertson allow you, as a superintendent, when you're making recommendations on policy, to customize? Because they are very streamlined, their policy recommendation. Would you be allowed to customize what they did?
The experience that other districts has had is that they're very receptive. Lusk Albertson is very receptive to any input that a district would have in what a policy would look like. And so my expectation is if we have specific recommendations or specific needs in a policy, that they would be receptive
So
to
that we can
include.
customize it for our recommendations. Okay. And do we know about, I know I asked the question last week, do we know about, how much they would support us or not support us in terms of legal concerns?
They have indicated that they would support us in that if there is a challenge to our policy. Clearly, they're the ones who write the policies and provide the policies, and so they said that they would support us. And so the expectation would be that they would provide the same level of service as Neola. It's important to remember that if you even change one word in a Neola policy, then
we would, yeah.
then we would be on the hook.
Because that would be our local policy.
Correct.
Yeah, I was more concerned about if they're writing it and we're adapting it, that if there is a court challenge, that we're covered. So, good. Thank you.
We did get a note back that Ann forwarded from Kevin in response to that. I did not realize that the board didn't get all that response, but basically that if we violate the policy, obviously there could be legal actions against us, which makes sense. But they would defend a lawsuit if they were requested to by the district. And then he also said that if Lusk Albertson committed malpractice in developing the policy or administrative guidelines, they would be liable to us. So he pretty clearly stated that obviously they're going to pay pretty close attention to the way they develop the policies and the guidelines for us. So I thought that was significant and addressed your question as well. I apologize that that didn't get out to everyone.
Yeah.
Are there other discussion items or questions that people have about our policy provider? We had kind of a brief update with when Ann was here last week, but I would certainly support moving in a direction where we can maybe make it a little, I guess having been at their presentation, they seem to, while they have a template they use, they can customize it based on kind of more of our philosophy about different areas. So if we had a specific philosophy about something that we wanted to make sure that we included, we could work with them to do that. Which I think, I've heard different things at the board table, certainly about some of our Neola policies and making changes to them. And certainly as we've made changes, we don't know what our, the liability is against that or whatever. And so I think it would be probably a positive move in the right direction. And streamline things. It's going to make the administrative guidelines much thicker.
Correct.
Which is another thing that they had suggested, that the guidelines then come before the board also about 30 days before they would be enacted or before they're enacted. So the board would also get to see the administrative guidelines that are going to go along with enforcing our policies, which I think will help clarify for us the work that you guys are all doing in order to support those policies. So I think that would be helpful. So, all right. Well, if there is no further...
If there are questions between now and our October 19th meeting about this, be sure to forward them to me and we'll get the answers to you. But based on tonight's conversation, we would bring a recommendation that Lusk Albertson become our policy provider at our next board meeting.
All right, excellent. We will move on to our next opportunity for comments from the audience. We have one person that is sticking it out with us because she has to know. We're glad you're here, Mrs. Holly. We do not have anybody else in the audience to come forward this evening to make comments, and we will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. The next coffee with the superintendent is next Wednesday, October 11th at 10:15 a.m. at the Novi Public Library. Dr. Weber will be my guest as we discuss with our parents our district curriculum and parent resources that we have. The next parent-to-parent book club is October 30th at 6:30 p.m. at the Novi Public Library. The next book we are reading is Becoming Brilliant, What Science Tells Us About Raising Successful Children. Books are available at the information desk at the Novi Public Library, and we would encourage parents to come and participate in that activity. As you know, we've created a partnership with Playworks. Playworks is an organization dedicated to ensuring that students have opportunity to experience safe, active, vibrant play every day. Playworks is working with 2 of our elementary schools this year, teaching staff, including teachers, administrators, lunchroom supervisors, and students, on how to play in positive and productive ways, both on the playground and in the classroom. Early reports from these 2 schools are that it is going very well, and Playworks provides support of a dedicated professional who comes in and trains our staff and also works with the students on identifying appropriate games to play during lunch recess, during afternoon recess, and if we ever have indoor recess, on what appropriate games to play would be there as well. And they also work with the teachers on how to have positive classroom environments. So we believe this will be a positive addition, and we're testing it out of 2 of our elementary schools, and if it goes well, the hope is that we will bring it to all of our elementary schools next year. And then this Saturday, Novi High School's marching band is hosting Fanfare. The first band takes the field at 4:30 p.m., and the Novi High School marching band will play at 9 p.m. Everyone is invited to attend, and you will be wowed by the ability of students from all over the state. There are, I think, almost 18 bands that are going to participate in Fanfare this year. So I encourage you to participate in that. And that is my superintendent's report.
I do have one quick question. You're going to have Dr. Weber talk about curriculum and the cost. How long is that cost going to be with parents?
My guess is that we'll take the full time, and plus more maybe.
Good question. And Mrs. Hood, you're going to be at the band fanfare presenting.
Mr. Mena and I
Oh,
will be
wonderful.
there. Not presenting anything, I don't think, but we will be there in support, maybe down on the field, and I'm very excited.
Okay.
And is this time for?
Well, first
Okay.
let's go to our administrative reports. If we have anything going on I'm sure we have a lot going on actually in both our offices. And Mrs. Minnick, you're getting up to speed on things. If you have
Yes.
stuff going on you'd like us to know about, please
Yes.
feel free.
Thank you. I have a few things this evening. First, as you may be aware, the Michigan State Police conducts thorough annual comprehensive safety inspections of our fleet. In fact, they inspect every black and yellow people transportation vehicle in the state every year. And the inspection of our Novi Schools fleet was conducted in mid-September, and I'm pleased to report that we had a 100% inspection rating. That means that every single one of our 37 buses passed the safety inspection. So I want to note that that would not have been achieved if it were not for the efforts of our 2 spectacular bus mechanics, Mr. Matt Nowicki and Mr. Tom Hurlbert. And I also want to express my appreciation for their impressive work throughout the year to maintain and care for our buses to be sure that our students are transported safely throughout the school year. I also want to acknowledge the dedication of our Director of Transportation, Cindy Valentine, and all of the bus drivers and aides, because it is their care for their buses throughout the year, every day, to be sure that they are in proper operating order and that they bring to the attention of the mechanics any issues that may arise. Second, I want to let you know that the annual financial audit is in its final stages, which has gone very smoothly, thanks to our Director of Finance, Ms. Deanna Burrell. The draft financial statements will be presented by the auditors at the Finance Committee meeting scheduled for next Thursday, October 12th at 6:30. And finally, I want to thank and acknowledge the efforts of Mr. Mike Dragoo, our Director of Maintenance and Operations. As you may or may not be aware, during the transition of Mr. Steve Barr's retirement and my coming on board, Mr. Dragoo took on an increased workload of managing all the construction projects, in addition to our annual summer projects that go on through the schools to ready the buildings for September, all the while without an assistant director as well. That position was vacant. all summer as well, and that was just recently filled. So I just want to acknowledge him and his very skilled and cohesive team that he has there. They're all spectacular, and I just want to express gratitude for him to step up and display really exceptional leadership during that time.
Thank you. Elizabeth. Yes,
I
Mr.
just want to
O'Connor.
comment on that. I just want to make a note that fleet inspection to get 100% is really, that's not an easy inspection. The state is very critical.
They
with-
are.
Across
yes.
the states. That really is a heck of an accomplishment.
Yes, it is. Thank you for noting that. In fact, their inspection manual is on the website, the Michigan State Police website, if you wanted to peruse it. It's very thorough and
It is,
lengthy.
yeah.
They're on
not
site.
easy.
Sounds like
They're not
press
easy at
release
all.
worthy to me. I have to say.
And it's important to note that not every district gets 100%. No, even not every district surrounding us gets
Right,
it.
100%, not even close. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's really great.
You did go out on Twitter. I did see it on Twitter.
That's terrific. Yeah, very, very noteworthy, and thank you for sharing that with us. And obviously, we see Mr. Dragoo, and I don't see the mechanics too often. I think they're pretty busy, but certainly we can offer our own thanks as well if we see the gentleman in question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Stiglio.
The majority of my time is really being focused on preparing for the next person. So I am working really hard, and I'm excited to help someone come on board. And with this evening's vote, it will give me at least 7 days with Gary, and I'm really excited about that. So I've been mapping out and getting files prepared for him, and he's going to be absolutely terrific. I'm glad that there was a vote of confidence this evening. You're getting a really, really good individual and someone that's going to work hard for the district. So my focus is not only keeping the district moving in my office, but also preparing for the next person that comes along. And I'm grateful for my time here, and I'm honored to have been here. And I'm looking forward to working with Gary. He really is a exceptional gentleman that I think will find very much a good fit for Novi.
All right, well, thank you for preparing the transition to make that more smooth. We do appreciate that. All right, next is our committee reports. I know you have an upcoming meeting, so you'll be reporting on that is on next Thursday?
Thursday the 12th at 6:30, as Ms. Minnick had mentioned.
Finance meeting.
Next meeting.
And Mrs. Glebzinski isn't here, so we will move on. Are there other committees? No, we don't have. Now we next have our opportunity for board communication. There are things, I know, Mrs. Hood, I'm just going to call on you because you were eager to share something before.
Fanfare.
Yeah.
So Fanfare is Novi High School hosts marching bands and marching band show. We will, this Saturday, I think we have 5 or 6 Flight 1 bands, which are the biggest bands. I think Novi has 206 kids on the field this year. And if all the bands are wonderful, The Flight 4, 3, and 2 are early in the day, and then the Flight 1 bands are at the end of the day. And what strikes me, I don't have a musical bone in my body, but I am a great audience. And so we were involved for 6 years, and I think many of us had high schoolers who are in the marching band. And what's amazing, and I think Mr. Horgan pulls this off every year, I don't know how he does it, but they start with just music on sheets. Kids haven't played it before. And they start with dots on screens and on cards. They make the flags, they fit their uniforms, and they go from really knowing nothing. The kids, all 206 of them, really don't know much about what they're showing in June. And then by the time they get to Ford Field in November, they have a show that just knocks you over. It's unbelievable. And Novi High School, all the bands, it's just really such an incredible accomplishment. It makes me cry. It's really fabulous.
Parents make those flags.
Oh, I know. But the parents also pick up a lot of cans to buy flags too. So it's just such a wonderful an accomplishment. Plus the event. The event
So
is
what
great.
time does the event start?
I think it's 4:20.
is the national anthem, and
Yep.
4:30 is the first band.
And it's supposed to be a fantastic day.
So, and just to add, there's
So-
1,600 kids between
Yeah.
all the schools that participate in this event. That's about it, what we'll have this year. So that's a pretty hefty event.
And the
A lot
logistics
eyes.
of it.
Yeah.
Is there a cost for community members if they might
I
want
think
to
it's
come out
$8,
Okay.
$8 per person.
for a great concert with
Right.
many, many different bands.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be sunny and
Yeah,
beautiful,
it's
so,
great.
and you can listen to the Michigan State game
You can.
on your technology and still be at the band, so.
Yep.
All right, terrific. Well, thank you for that. We look forward to the band fanfare and hearing a report about how that went from the band. Are there other board communication? Mr. Cook?
Last night I was able to attend the Oakland County School Board Association dinner. The presentation there was the Attorney General's program, OK to Say, on teaching kids about bullying, how to report bullying, and a process of which they can use. I hope that we have contacts at our school district listed on their website. They also have free training to go out to all levels of the school, which, hopefully our panel on bullying decides to take advantage of. Because the presenter we had was very dynamic. He does most of the stuff in the area. He's dynamic. He gets it with the kindergartners. He gets it all the way up to the high school seniors. So he had some very startling statistics, but it covers more than just bullying. It covers sexting. It covers, tattling versus telling for the younger kids. And it sounds like it's a very good program. So I think it would bode the district well to look into that deeply.
Good resource. All right. Well, I'll just say briefly that I did the walk to school with Novi Woods, which was every year it just gets bigger and better. The firemen were there this year. PAWS was there. Police officers were there, so it was a very well orchestrated event, and the rain held off for everyone, and there were a lot of parents that took the time off to be there, which thrilled the kids, which was awesome, and it ended up being a really nice event once again on a nice day, and they have a fun run coming up. I think they've fashioned that after Parkview's fun run, so they'll be doing that coming up here pretty soon for anyone who's interested in doing a fun run. But it was a great event, and good things happening across the district. I've been at a couple soccer games. I saw your son. I see your son briefly at one of the games, and they're successful seasons all around. Football team's doing well, so there's a lot of things going on. I think we could all be busy almost every night with school events, which is wonderful. I will just say briefly that having gone to this National Merit Scholars to the little breakfast that they had for them, Nicole asked each one of them to share just one significant thing about their high school experience, and it was really interesting because every one of them, with the exception of one girl who said being in the IB diploma program, mentioned an extracurricular that they're involved in, whether it was HOSA or figure skating or cross country. I mean, it was pretty amazing that that's been the significant piece of their experience that they kind of stands out for them in the midst of this tremendous academic success. Being a part of those teams and doing things together with other students seems to be the thing that is great, which, we've been talking a little bit about opportunities, and it just really stood out to me at that meeting that is super significant for kids. It's just a really significant thing. So I love that we're talking more about those opportunities and what we can do for kids to further that. So appreciate that. We have come to the end of our meeting, unless anyone has any additional communication. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved. To
Moved by
adjourn.
Mrs. Hood,
Support.
supported by Mrs. Stevenson. Any discussion on adjourning? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.